and welcome to another evening of frank conversation here on Hard Copy, coming to you from our studios in Abuja. I'm Maupe Ogun Yusuf. If there's anything getting clearer by the day as the 2023 elections approach, it is that they're going to be highly unpredictable. And as our last guest, Ismail Ahmed of the All Progressives Congress did say, they're going to be fought down to the wire. The cracks, alignment and realignment within and between political parties continues to leave political pundits guessing as to where the votes might eventually swing or what will eventually determine the choice of voters come 2023. This week, there were strong indications that the presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, could have met the governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, who's been unhappy over the outcome of the presidential primaries within his party, the People's Democratic Party, and how the leadership and its presidential candidate have managed the outcomes. The presidential candidate of the PDP, Atiku Abubakar, now seems to have taken matters into his own hands by also jetting out of the country, ostensibly to meet with the governor of Rivers State in a last-ditch effort to unite the PDP. This wave of unsettlement isn't just ailing the big parties. The newly emerged disruptors also seem to be going through a phase of their own. On Monday this week, a former governor of Kano State, Ibrahim Shekarau, was reported as saying that the presidential flag bearer of his party, Rabiu Musa Kwankwanso, had betrayed the trust he and his followers had in him when they joined the new Nigeria People's Party, the NNPP. Although he hasn't defected from the NNPP, he's told his followers that he will be announcing a course of action soon. How much more of this alignment would we see before the polls kick off in 2023? And how will they affect the traditional arrangements in place before now? Tonight on Hard Copy, I speak with one who should have an idea. Honorable Igbakpa represents Ethiopia East and West in the House of Representatives. He has recently defected to the new Nigeria People's Party after he was unable to clinch the ticket of the PDP owing to contentious primaries. Igbakpa, welcome to Hard Copy.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Well, interesting times we're witnessing politically, but one has to ask, when we look at what's happening within your new party, why is it that politicians can't seem to keep their word to their fellow politicians?
Well, politics, like it's known, it's one game of allocation of powers and interest. I just joined the NNPP, but I believe they have their understanding. Like you rightly said, former Governor Shekarau have not left NNPP. I believe there's still room for consultation and consideration, and whatever it is, there's always a point of give and take. So it's unfair and very harsh for you to say that politicians don't keep to their promises. We keep our promises. There are times there are promises that are not just, maybe you make it under duress, or when the right situation comes, the present situation might falter whatever you have in place. I think that is what's happening, but I pray they should be able to come together and agree. They are leaders of the party at the top echelon of the national of our party.
Well, I understand your reluctance to comment heavily on it, but I'm sure there is a reason why you picked the NNPP. I mean, there are a number of other parties that you could have picked from when you were defecting from the PDP. APGA, there was also the APC, there's Labour Party. There are a few others which you could have decided to pick on, but there was a reason why you picked the NNPP. Do you want to share with us?
Well, politics is local, and when, at the time I decided to leave the PDP, I was actually looking at the possibility of an alliance with some other person in other local governments, because my constituency shares 2 local governments, and I look and I have somebody on the other side. I decided to pick the NNPP, where I can have that synergy working with somebody from the other side, which will make our election easier for me than picking a party where I don't have any other person on the other side and I have to start running the 2 local government without information, without delegation of assignment and duties. So that's why I pick on the NNPP.
it's a very big move that you have made within Delta State. If anybody understands the politics of Delta State, the People's Democratic Party, which you were once a part of, and some people would also say it's very likely that you may go back to, has had a strong hold on Delta since 1999, the return to democracy. How do you think that your new party is going to fare, considering the political calculations within Delta?
Well, political parties are made by men. Political parties win elections, but it's the men in the party that galvanize their support for the party. For me, I don't have problem with PDP at the national. I don't have problem with PDP at the state level. I have problem with PDP at my local government level. A situation where certain individuals has taken it to be a private property, where people does not have right to aspiration, where you cannot galvanize your political future, where you have no right to even raise up your head. And I feel it's not a place where I can, because whether you like it or not, joining the political party starts from your ward. And if my local government is beginning to turn a one-man show, and in our place, it is said that when an elderly man strike you in such a way, instead of you to insult the elderly man, you walk away. I was struck, and I felt instead of me to turn to that abusive child, I just picked my bag and I walked away. So I'm in NNPP. I have my credibility. I have my performance. I have what it takes to win election under any party, anytime, any day. We're here. We're going to do it. I believe my people are with me. Before joining the NNPP, I did a very wide consultation with my constituents who are unhappy with what happened at the primaries. If I had a free and fair primaries, I wouldn't be complaining. It was a charade. People were kidnapped into their houses. People were threatened. Even the first election that we did, I understand something happened. It's unthinkable for us to have a 34-34. So I think maybe somebody feels he's the owner of the party and I have to leave. If it's your property, I leave your property for you and chart a new course. Yes, in our place, it has always been one political party, but there's always a beginning. There's a time when somebody have to rise. There's a time when you have to look at yourself and take a decision. At first, you want to move on with whatever you believe in. I enjoy playing politics, not because of anything, but I enjoy service. I've spent about 3 years plus in the National Assembly, and the records are there. And I believe my people still want me more. And they are standing to say, enough is enough. Let anybody, whether a son of somebody or nobody, should be able to rise and aspire and get to where he wants to get to without any individual impeachment and without anybody stopping them that you can't go because I am interested.
How would you say that, and I know that you might be reluctant to comment on this considering the fact that you have packed your bags and left, but I know that you still have very strong connect with members of the PDP within your state, since you say you have no problem with the PDP in your state at the state level and you have no problem with the PDP at the national level. How do you think that Godfatherism, as you have seen it, affects political alignments within a state such as Delta?
Yes, Godfatherism has been one thing that Nigerians have always cried of. It's always there, but I don't believe in Godfatherism. I believe in mentorship. When I look up to somebody, you might not be close to me, but there are people within the political sphere of the country that I don't even know. I've not seen them before, but I love them because of what they stand for. And yes, the issue in Delta has to be with the same thing, Godfatherism, certain persons wanting to say it must be this or that. For me, I'm no longer in PDP. I wouldn't really want to talk about it because we're talking about Delta State. I'm talking about somebody who will govern us because by all standards, you can't still take away the governorship of Delta State from the PDP. So we all have a say at the point.
Are you saying, if I may interrupt you, are you saying that you never benefited from the advantages of Godfatherism in your state?
I have never benefited. I have always run a very tough primaries. I've always won my primaries from my House of Assembly. In my local government, there used to be this practice where we do mock primaries. I remember in 2007, when I was running for the House of Assembly, a 14-man committee was set up to do the mock primaries. 12 voted for me. And that's how I went to the House of Assembly. As a member of the House of Representatives, we were 7. I came top, 133. And the closest person to me was 84. It has always been in the field. Nobody has ever helped. You know, people seem to have this misgiving about politics in Delta State, politics in my local government that took place as if somebody is being somebody just hold you and say you are the one. No, it has never been like that for me. I've always gone to the field. I've always had a strong election. That is why I believe that going into this election, especially with beavers and the present electoral act that the National Assembly and the President have been able to give to Nigeria, we will see the differences and we'll see, I'll call it upsurge, we'll see upset in this election where fresh parties are going to win election across the nation, not just in my state. So I believe that I have never enjoyed anything about Godfatherism. Let the person come out to say that.
That might be a bit hard to. That might be a bit hard for those who, who also studied the politics of Delta State. You were commissioner in the administration of Dr. Emmanuel Oduaha when he was governor. Are you saying that he did not support you in any way, and the fact that he was a governor or he was in government as at that time did not have any influence in terms of how your emergence as a candidate?
Yeah, coincidentally, when my boss, Dr. Oduaha, I respect him. I hold him in very high esteem because he's one person who has given me a platform really after my House of Assembly. He appointed me, and I remember him telling me, I appointed you on my own. You are not the person that was recommended. You can imagine that. For me, that's a very strong word. I appointed you as my commissioner. You were not the person that is recommended. In my local government, there's this transition. The moment you leave House of Assembly, you become commissioner. But it's like it got to my turn and some other person was recommended. But he appointed me and told me that I am appointing you myself. I appointed you myself. You were not the one recommended. So when I was
recommended by who?
At the local government level, what they do, the moment you leave the House of Assembly, it's automatic. They recommend you for commissionership. But during my time, I think I was not recommended, but I don't know who was recommended by the leaders. Dr. Oduaha was running for election, his first tenure. I was running for House of Assembly in my local government. I ran the election as a member of House of Representatives. I just told you the story. I finished. I managed to win the primaries. I managed to win the general election. I went into a strong litigation. So it's been tough. So that is why going into another party and running from that region is not new to me because I am used to facing tough election, and by the grace of God, that gives power to get there.
So personally for you, you say you do not have a problem with the PDP at the state level and also with the PDP at the national level. However, if you were still within the ranks of the PDP, just, painting a scenario, would you be worried about what is currently happening with the PDP at the state level in your state and also at the national level?
Well, no right-thinking person would not be worried because a house divided against itself cannot stand. There's a lot of issues. Today, the party is polarized because of the issue of the governorship, but that is politics for you. There will always be quarrel in politics. It is the ability to and the time with which to resolve this problem that matters. And I'm very, very sure that now that the matter has gone to court, in as much as it will be sub judice to continue to talk too much on it, as soon as the court gives their verdict, they appeal, and I'm very, very positive that the matter will go to Supreme Court. As soon as they leave the Supreme Court, I pray there will be time for us to put, for even all of us who are politicians and Deltans and the people of PDP, to put everything together to get a governor that can take this state beyond where we are now.
Welcome back. You're watching Hard Copy, coming to you from our studios in Abuja. Honorable Igbakpa, representing Ethiopia East and West in the House of Representatives, is our guest tonight. And we're talking about the internal fence mending many political parties are having to undertake ahead of the 2023 elections. You say that you're new to the NNPP, and there is a reason why you have decided to pick this political party. And I'm looking at what is also happening at the national level within your own party, the bickering between the presidential candidate of your party and also a former governor who is also a stalwart in his own right. Looking at that bickering, how do you think it affects your own party's chances, as the NNPP's chances? Because they were tagged, or they have been tagged, as one of the emerging disruptors. They think that, you know, anything can happen with what is happening with the emergence of Labour Party and the NNPP. In fact, they're considered one of the big four, as the case might be. How do you think that the internal wrangling, I'm very reluctant to use the word crisis, will affect the chances of your party at the presidential poll and may rub off on local government, on local elections as well?
Well, first, let me assure you that that is at the center. It cannot rub on the local chapters. It cannot, unless these two big elephants are from Kano. They are from Kano, so I believe they can deal with it. I love the spirit of politicians and how they do their things. You just wake up the next day and they will come up that whatever is the difference, whatever are the issues have been resolved. Because I want to belong to a political party that will control the center. I'll be very happy if my party can get the center. So I pray for that they should give peace a chance. And whatever it is, resolve their issues, come on board. Nigerians are waiting. They need that change. Where we are now, I think everybody should forget their personal interests and bring people on board that can give us the service and delivery that we want as a country.
Do you think that your party, your emergence is going to confuse your supporters? Because they say that in some places, people are traditionally backers of a particular political party. If you go and ask in Delta State, they might say, oh, Delta State is traditionally PDP. So if you are going on a different political party, do you think that will confuse your supporters? Do you hope to be contesting on the platform of the NNPP, but asking your supporters to back another party for other elections which you might not really have an interest in?
You see, let me tell you, the truth in Nigeria now, the consciousness, the awareness that is the wind that is blowing is not about blowing political party. The wind is blowing individuals. The wind is blowing capacity. The wind is blowing competence. The wind is blowing service. So if anybody is thinking because it's hanging on a known party and you have nothing to show to the people, forget it. Like I said, this election is going to show people that, yes, wherever you find yourself, leave your footprints in the sands of time.
You haven't quite answered my question. So while I get your answer about what might determine the outcome of these elections, you haven't quite said what it is that will happen. Because when you spoke about the PDP, about the NNPP, of course, and the emergence of a candidate for the PDP at the state level, you didn't seem like you were backing any candidates for NNPP at the governorship level in your state. Do you even have a candidate?
As at this moment, I have not seen any candidate. Nobody has told me that there's a candidate of NNPP in Delta State.
In that sort of situation, what would you recommend political parties to do, where it will seem that they just have one or two or three candidates running at the grassroots level, but they do not have governorship candidates, they do not have senatorial candidates, etc.? What would you recommend that they do in that particular instance? Should they be partnering? Should they be merging? What should they do?
Well, it's not easy to get merger. But the truth is after the 2023 election, people will understand that it is not political party that matters. It is the individual. People are afraid to come. I know a lot of people that are coming, oh, why did you leave PDP? Oh, why didn't you join Labour? And I said, Labour today is on fire because of Peter Obi. And why can't I put my party, NNPP, on fire because of Igbakpa? So, and really, it's happening within my constituency. The 2 local governments has actually taken it. You need to see the friends, you need to see the expectation. They want the election to come and go. So it is like that. People should be able, if you have performed, if you have the credibility, go to any party, you'll win your election. Especially with what we have now, that votes are going to count. That is why, let me use the opportunity to beg INEC. That story of saying you want to do manual collation, I don't know. The explanation is there. You have given your explanation to Nigeria. I don't care how you do it. Please give us that election that everybody can say, yes, I have won. The loser can say, I have lost. Give us that credible election. Work according to the lettering and intention of that act, so that Nigerians will not start feeling that, oh, because the moment that matter came up, people start calling me, oh, they started again. No, it's like these votes will not count. It's that you don't just throw out information out there every time. Give Nigerians what you are going to do, and that is what they want to hear. Don't turn every day and start issuing rejoinder.
Let me ask you this, because, I mean, you were also a part of the lawmaking process that eventually culminated in the emergence of the new Electoral Act 2022, which we now have, and which has been widely celebrated. But considering the conundrum in which you found yourself, would you be recommending, assuming you were to come up for amendment again in the next assembly, and assuming you were there, would you say that it is high time we adopted independent candidates?
I actually voted for independent candidature in the Constitution Amendment. But unfortunately, it did not scale through. And if I have the opportunity, I will vote for independent candidature anytime, any day. Because the political parties at times have certain persons that kind of squeeze, wrap, and prohibit people because you don't have, maybe you don't have money, maybe you don't have name, or you are a son of a nobody. But if you have that credibility, if you have that spirit of service that the people know already, you can run from. If there's independent candidature, I tell you, I'll be running as an independent candidate today. So I will support.
Where do we then place the role of political parties? Do you think that we need to pay a little more attention to political parties? Because there's a reason why I'm sure INEC has not yet even gone. If you ask INEC, they'll be very reluctant to go down that route, because even with political parties, they're having problems. They want them to be able to sort out certain things amongst themselves before candidates emerge. So if we were to look at this political party structure, which we now have, which is what we're dealing with, how would you say that we can reform the internal politics of our political parties in such a way that it is truly democratic?
Yeah, I believe, I am one of the persons that believe that political parties should be allowed to do their thing. But what we need to change is the mindset, the values that people attach to political office and the administration. People should not take, some persons take political parties as a private business, as if it's their company, Nigeria Limited, as if they must be the one to decide what happens. Political parties should be, I don't know, it is human being, no matter the laws. Everything should not be about law. It's no matter the law you make, it is human being that is going to administer and implement that law. So I think the purging should be from Nigerians, from people, from politicians, to know that political party is a vehicle, and the vehicle should be open to anybody. So for me, that is it. I don't believe that more laws should be made to control political parties and what they do.
If you were to make a prediction, some prediction for how you think the 2023 elections will pan out, considering what you're saying at the national level, the internal wranglings within the PDP, the realignments that will have to be done within the APC, and also what is happening within your own political party at the national level, what would you say, how would you say the polls will swing in come 2023?
I'm a party man. Today I'm in NNPP. You know, I know it will sound subjective. I want my party to win.
So regardless of whether or not the indices point that way, you're just going to blindly say you want your political party to win.
That is it.
Okay, we wish you and your party all the best. Thank you so much for speaking to us on Hard Copy, Honorable Ben Igbakpa.
Thank you very much for having me.
Well, that's our program tonight. Please send your feedback to the handles showing on your screen. Thank you for watching. I'm Maupe Ogun Yusuf. Good night.